Hello, I'm Trent, aka Trademark here. Update 6.0.1 is in the building. The main thing I want to talk about is the balance changes. We completely reworked the damage formula, balanced the cosmic quirks and skin affixes. A lot of people are asking me what exactly happened. So let's start with the quirks. I'm just gonna roll on my Gyu, I think, for another cosmic quirk. Actually, okay. So first off, nothing really changed with the mythical quirks. In fact, the mythical quirks will feel slightly different, but that's only because we reworked the damage formula, which I'll explain in a little bit. But basically, we didn't touch any of the mythical quirks. They should be the same. They might feel different and they might perform a little bit differently because the damage formula is changed. But if we need to adjust the mythic quirks, we'll come back and adjust them. It does take quite a bit of time to test for the balance between each quirk. So let's just go ahead and talk about Black Hole first. Black Hole, basically, I buffed the attack speed and the ability damage just by 10%. So instead of 1.5 attack speed, 1.5 ability damage is now 1.6 and 1.6. Black Hole was slightly underperforming. That's why I buffed it just a bit. Next up, we have Celestial. Now, Celestial has, I did buff the damage. I think it was previously 1.5 or 1.6x damage. I buffed it to 1.75x. And then the boss damage was at 2x. I brought that down to 1.75x because it was by far the best quirk in the game after the changes. However, that doesn't really matter because attack speed, even though the attack speed remains the same, the value of attack speed is actually higher after the changes. So something like Celestial is already performing really, really well because of the 2x attack speed. It's basically going to be the best quirk versus bosses. Aside from the newest quirk in the game, which is Titan. Let's go ahead and talk about Titan. Titan gives you 3x base damage, 50% crit chance, 2x crit damage, and 0.85x attack speed, and you're big. Okay, so Titan, it's a little bit hard to understand because it's essentially like Sniper and Giant kind of mixed into one. It's the only way which you can get 100% crit chance in the game aside from Sniper, and then you get the extra crit damage. So yeah, it's just altogether, Titan is very, very strong right now. Originally, I think it was 1.5 crit chance and 1.5 crit damage. However, that was performing worse than Black Hole Celestial. So I buffed this in order to make, I mean, it's a brand new cosmic quirk. I want to make it worth going for. So right now, based on my DPS testing, Titan plus Celestial was the best quirk combo in the game, and then Titan. And I think it was actually Celestial Black Hole was the second best. If you're attacking a boss, if you're attacking a normal mob, then Titan Black Hole is the best, followed by, I assume, Titan Celestial, but I didn't test that versus normal mobs. So there you go. Those are new cosmic quirks, but again, I want people to understand that you shouldn't really be comparing this to what they were prior, because the entire damage formula has been reworked. So I guess next of all, we can talk about affixes. The affixes were changed. So Perfection wasn't touched. Perfection was left alone. However, like I said, when we reworked the damage formula, attack speed is now much, much more valuable. So something like Furious was actually it was insanely powerful. It made Furious like 3 times better than Perfection. So it was way overperforming. So we had to tone that down to basically the same attack speed as Perfection in order for Perfection to be better than Furious and Demonic. I actually, when I was doing some testing, someone was saying that demonic is actually closer to perfection than furious now, so we might need to tweak furious just a bit. Personally, I kind of feel like basically perfection right now is just a combination of furious and demonic, and it feels a bit boring to me. So I can see maybe in the future us tweaking. I would like to add more skin affixes and have like specializations. Like a lot of people have been asking for ways that you could, for example, have like affixes that affect utility teams, affixes that affect like boss damage, affixes that affect shield damage, and you could kind of build like a specialized kind of unit based on your quirks and your skin. So in the future, that is something that we plan to do eventually, but that might be a ways down the road because we'd have to rework a lot of the ways that the affixes are applied. But yeah, so basically demonic got a slight buff and furious did get nerfed significantly. If it turns out that we nerfed furious a little bit too much, again, we'll tweak that, but that's going to take a lot more testing because I have to test furious alongside of a lot of different various quirk combos. So this week, probably when I'm doing the testing on the Mythic Quirks, I'll also try and add the affixes in there and see. The goal is obviously right now you can't really see the quirk rarities, which is frustrating. It's something that we plan on doing, but perfection is the rarest affix in the game, so it should be the best, right? So like you have a skin rarity and then you have an affix rarity, and we don't really differentiate that. In the future, we plan to either like color this or just have like a skin index of some sort where you could just see the various the various rarities and chances for everything. But yes, so going back to like the damage formula being reworked, essentially what happened was there was several bugs that were in the auto balancing ult formula. If you don't know, the game is set up so that regardless of how many like punches you attack, whenever you trigger your ultimate, the ultimate scales in damage based upon how many attacks you had there. Previously, it was incorrectly applying the base damage multiplier multiple times on your it was applying multiple times incorrectly, and not only was it applying multiple times, it was actually multiplying together. So rather than like the maximum theoretical multiplier that you would have being like 4x, it was more like 16x. So you were just getting way more damage than was supposed to happen. So what Daireb did is he made it so it only applies once, which essentially halved everyone's DPS. Okay, and that was why your DPS went down so drastically on update 6. And then in 6.01, what we did to correct that, basically the issue was if you had very fast attack speed, because the ability damage was not factoring in attack speed as a multiplier. If you had very fast attack speed, your DPS would actually go down when you ulted, especially if you're using skins like Furious, affixes, something that gave you a lot of attack speed. So what we did is we apply that attack speed as a multiplier into your ult damage formula. So if you have faster attack speed, it will also deal higher ability damage. Now, in the future, going back to that specialization thing, I can see I've had some suggestions of people saying that it would be kind of cool if you could have like a quirk where maybe it disables your ability in exchange for extra punch damage, and then you could have like more specialization where you could build like a unit that was specifically meant to deal damage while punching. And then we could also have multipliers for like abilities, so where maybe you deal less damage while you're punching in exchange for dealing a lot more ability damage. I think both of those could potentially be like ways that you could specialize your champions in the future. So if we do that at some point, maybe then we'll have new modifiers for punch damage or for ability damage. We already have ability damage in the game, but maybe we have like different ways to actually specialize with that. Maybe it's through affixes, maybe it's through harmony bonuses. I will say that we had a really long discussion, the team today, about a kind of like the future of the game. I'm going to be making a new roadmap for the game so you guys can get an idea of what we're going to be providing you guys in the updates coming up on the game. But yeah, that's pretty much covers it, I think, for me on 6.01. Aside from that, the only other changes that were made were just the fixes on the store. If you couldn't see some of the game passes, those are now back. If you couldn't purchase holy cow, words are hard, pumpkin orbs from the store directly, you can now do that as well. And then yeah, just a few more bug fixes, but that is pretty much it. But anyways, guys, that is it for me. Hopefully that helps you guys understand. I do want to reiterate that these, because attack speed is being applied much differently, they're going to perform differently, even more so than like the numbers that I changed on this, that I buffed, etc. So just keep that in mind. And then moving forward, it should go back to like the same idea where we can just balance test each quirk rather than the formula as a whole. I don't see the formula changing anymore. I think we've caught all the bugs. The only one change that you'll notice is that your scaling champions are insanely strong. That's just a side effect of what we've done, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. Like if you notice your scaling champs, they're now like look insanely high damage, but the DPS is still approximately the same. So let me show you what I mean. Like this is why I had these two units right here, is if we equip a Dolgon, let's actually just do this. It will help if I just go to a test area and I can show you guys what I mean. All right, so if we just take like two units, two Cursed Hunters, and we throw two Eisen Perfection skins on them, right? We can go ahead and do a quick DPS test. Oh, whoops, sorry, attacking this. We can do a quick DPS test here. If we just, I had a stopwatch somewhere here. All right. I'm not sure if you guys can see that timer. Okay, so quite simply, how it will work is if you check the actual DPS of two units, oh, I didn't have their ults at 0. That kind of ruins the test. Let me quickly kill this stuff because this is a bunk test. All right, let's try this one more time. We take our two units that are identical and we attack this boss. Get a time here. It should be relatively close in DPS timings or time to kill timings in average DPS when you use your scaling champions, which was the original goal with the scaling champions. There might be a few little nuances with the scaling champions and like how skins are applied or whatnot that we might have to look into, but you can see it was about 22 seconds to actually kill that. If we go ahead and spawn another one in it, and then instead of our second Cursed Hunter, we're now just going to use a scaling unit. So let me find my Foretales in here. "23 seconds, somewhere's around there." Whoops. And then let's check it again. But it should be approximately the same. Basically how it's going to work is this unit's going to deal a lot more damage on the ult, but again, it's going to be much slower in its attack phase, so it should approximately work out to be about the same. You can see it's a little bit faster, maybe 21 seconds there. And if there's a broken combination with the scaling champions in the future, we'll probably look into it and readjust this. But for now, at least this is what you guys wanted, right? You wanted some value in your scaling champs. There you go. You got some value in your scaling champs. It might be toned down in the future. Just keep that in mind. But we want scaling champions to be good, especially the cosmic ones, obviously. We don't want them to be so good that it's just like, you know, it's super pay to win advantage. So that's just, yes, this is just some of our thought processes with the balance on the game. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Mahalo. Alpito, thanks for watching. Peace. I'm out of here.